Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are here to talk about clean tech and sustainability and what's happening in these two very, very large sectors and also very important sectors, and how technology is intersecting in them and pushing them forward, not just here in 2020 and as we look to 21, but what about the next decade ahead? What are we looking at? What are we planning for? Where are we looking to make investments, and where should we be building? That's what we're going to be talking a lot about today. And we've brought some of the best and the brightest from all corners of the world today to share their thoughts and insights and on the ground perspective of these industries and what you need to know at home if you're looking to start making investments and or start building companies in this space as well. But before we go ahead and get started, audience, you know the wrap. If you're liking what you hear today, go ahead and click that big red subscribe button down there to tune in all day, every day to all episodes of VCTV as we bring the best and the brightest from around the world to talk about different technologies, industries, and regions. So you get their on the ground perspective to know what you need to know to be successful. And if you'd like to be on a show like today as an investor joining our panel or others in different topics as well, do reach out to the team and or myself. We'd love to find the right spot for you. Entrepreneurs, guess what? It's less than 30 days, less than a year. What better way to end 2020 and kick off 2021 than joining us here at VCTV? Come to our virtual stage, get up there on the stage and pitch us as investors and founders focused on your area of expertise, give you real-time feedback on your company, product, or service, along with building foundational relationships with each of us and exposure to our live audience. Again, reach out to the team and or myself. We'd love to find the right spot for you here on VCTV. And a big thank you to the LA Token team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day on all devices, anywhere in the world. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and get started introducing our guest today, as we've got a lot to talk about. Louisa, welcome back to the show. It's a pleasure to see you. It's only been about 24 hours, but nonetheless, it's an absolute pleasure. Again, a little intro and a little background for everybody.
Hi, my name is Luis Freitas. I'm originally from Brazil. Now I live in Miami. All involved with innovation startup space here. It's a passion, and I'm loving it. I've been working more focused on energy over the last, let's say, 15 years. Renewable energy, large utility scale projects, and most recently, I've shifted to energy tech. Let's say just a piece of clean tech, focusing on allowing the growth of the install capacity of renewable energy projects, so we can meet all the demand for energy, the growing demand for energy. And this is a big piece on clean energy, ESG, and so very excited to be here and talking about.
Wonderful. And pleasure to have you back, and excited to dive in not just to your new project, but what you're seeing in the industry now building into this space as well. We know sitting on both sides of the table can provide very unique and different experiences. And when you get the chance to sit in the middle and border both, it's even better. So with that being said, Adam, welcome back to the show, my friend. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
A little intro and a little
Good
background.
to see you. Cool. So I think that a lot of us actually, when you talk about clean tech, it has to be a personal passion, and that's how you end up in clean tech. So I used to be some guy who had a job. I used to work for Microsoft and do all sorts of stuff, but eventually I left and I started my first hardware startup, which was focused on clean tech initially. And then I did that. And at some point throughout doing that, because I kind of ran out of money, I ended up at First Solar. I did 10-month stints in Arizona working for First Solar, learning a lot about utility and large, grade, solar energy and the entire business. And that kind of really changed the way I really see the world and clean tech and the size of it, the way that you fund it, the way you build it. And it kind of got me hooked on it for the rest of my life. But eventually I moved on from all of that. And I also started Hackster.io. I was the CEO and co-founder, and I've done that for almost 7 years. And we've done a ton of clean tech and environmental tech projects, technologies, contests, and all sorts of stuff on Hackster. And as of late, after 7 years, I left and I joined Edge Impulse. It's a new awesome startup that does machine learning at the edge. And as one of my first kickoff projects in between Hackster and Edge Impulse, we built this thing called Elephant Edge. We raised money, funded building and shipping 10 of the most advanced open source elephant trackers that are going to be deployed in the wild, next year, in another month or so. So another thing, thinking about clean tech, environmental science, and all that stuff has been a very common thread through my life at this point. And whenever I have an opportunity to do something with it, I jump on it. So that's who I am, and we'll talk about it more later.
Awesome. Congratulations on the new deployment and new launch, and excited to have you back here. With that, Wade, welcome to the show. First time guest with us here on VCTV. A little intro and a little background for everybody.
Thank you, Kyle, and thanks for the invitation. I'm Wade Butarif. I'm with Plug and Play. I'm a chemical engineer by trade. I also have a background in petroleum and natural gas. Pivoted in my career back in 2015. I started working in a solar company in Southern California. And when I moved to the Bay Area, I got my hands dirty with a startup. I kind of did the business development effort for them. And then my journey with Plug and Play started with a smaller consulting project using my chemical engineering background for a CEO who runs a conglomerate of business in his plastic business. And that was at a time where a number of corporations in the energy sector were shopping for strategic investments in the Bay Area. So our CEO asked me to get a little involved and see if we can launch a fully fledged and standalone division that focuses on that industry value chain. So we started a series of meetups, and that kind of attracted thought leaders, experts, founders and investors, and then eventually secured corporate sponsors that kind of helped us launch what we call today our energy practice. Along the way, we did a few different pivots. I'm happy to share about them. We did some rebranding. We joined the Alliance to End Plastic Waste as a partner. I'm happy to talk about that as it relates to sustainability topic today. But that's a quick background. And again, based on how much time I was happy to jump in.
You did great. First time you did great. Thank you, Wade. Wendy, to you, welcome back. It's a pleasure.
Hey, so nice to meet everybody. And I'm Wendy Diamond. I'm a social entrepreneur my whole life, working in the impact space at a very young age. I'm invested in seed in a lot of companies in the agriculture, energy space, and everything which is making this world a better place. I'm also a limited partner in Block Tower Capital, as well as a limited partner in Coin Fund and a limited partner in Crescent Capital. So I'm really focused on blockchain and that disruptive technology companies that are bringing awareness towards the impact that we can have on this world. Thank you.
Love it. Welcome back. Welcome back. Last but not least, the Grand Master of Artificial Intelligence himself, ladies and gentlemen. He has graced us with his presence once again here on VCTV. Gary Fowler, welcome back.
Man, he's graced us with his presence. Oh my God. All right, Kyle, it's great. No, I appreciate it. I mean, you're the grand poobah. You are the all-seeing eye of everything, and I'm honored to be here today with you. So I feel like I'm home for the holidays, if you know what I mean. So anyhow, my name's Gary Fowler, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've created 16 companies, 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team of Click Software and also Eva.ai, which is closing the $1 billion level today. I started 4 years ago. I love artificial intelligence. I've written 94 articles now in the last year on AI. And I'm an investor, and I'm also the CEO and co-founder of GSD, Get Shit Done, a venture studio, where we take startups that have gone through acceleration, have regional dominance, and ready to go global. We use Silicon Valley as a port to the rest of the world. We have offices in Dubai, Indonesia, Germany, Russia, Belarus, et cetera. So we're looking for talent everywhere. And it's great to be here, Kyle. It's amazing. I was counting up how many times I've been with you on these, been doing shows, and when I looked at it, hundreds.
Honored.
We've been together.
Honored. This is an exciting time. I mean, here with this digital transformation that we've all gone through, and it's the first time I use that term in this type of context, and not in a buzzwordy way. And I truly mean it. You know, this is
buzzwordy way.
Yeah. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen, on VCTV.
Yes.
From me. With that, There you go. We're live. See, if anyone thinks we're not live, we are. Don't worry.
With the comedy hour comes up next.
That's true. First and foremost, with a cup of coffee. With that being said, Gary brings up a very personal touch and point here on VCTV, and I actually want to switch that to each of you as a question as to clean tech and sustainability. Adam mentioned this as well, is that when you get into these areas, usually it's a personal choice. And right now, I think what we're seeing is both a personal and a business, but it's being led by that personal desire to make an impact, to make the world a better place. And in talking about clean tech and sustainability, would love to hear from each of you. Before we get into the current view, what made you choose to get into this, right? What made you choose to go into, start investing in clean tech, to start building in sustainability? What was that decision that led you into this space? To be all consumed by it? And Adam, let's kick it off with you.
Sure. I think it's I don't know, it's just you probably have a soft spot for it, the just kind of person that you are, the way you were raised, and the information that we all absorb out there, and you're either going to sit on the sidelines or you're going to move and lean in and lean forward. And for all of us that have done this, we know it's actually often less profitable and less fast, than anything else in the world. Once you dig in, you realize maybe not as many companies want to invest in you, and not as many companies want to buy your products. And especially when you talk about what Louise was talking about, the larger scale, grade stuff, commercial grade, clean tech, that is really expensive long term with payouts that can be north of 30 years. So you really have to have a passion for that, and understanding that boiling the ocean in clean tech, it's nearly impossible. And it's not like a little software startup you can run and sometimes, hit a fast run and become a big thing. It takes patience, and you just have to focus on something, very niche that you can impact, and you have to go and build it yourself. So that's kind of like my view, that it's somehow something that in your life's event touched you, made you just say, I'm not just going to be a bystander, I'm going to lean into this and build it. And that's what I've done. And I noticed that these have been kind of themes that I find these projects that kind of come to me somehow because I'm looking for them sometimes. And then I go deep on every one of them and execute and deliver something that lasts, So that's kind of like how I see it. It's something just within you,
Yeah. Well, and Wendy, thank you, Adam. Wendy, I want to come to you. I mean, your focus as an LP in some outstanding groups on the blockchain side, and focus on blockchain as it comes to an impact. Blockchain has so many different use cases. What made you, similar to Adam, what made you want to go and focus on that area and impact and sustainability and around blockchain?
Well, I mean, first of all, my whole life, when I was 7 years old, I made a commitment that I was going to be a vegetarian, after seeing 300 cows hanging in a freezer at a young age. So my whole life, and I've been always an animal advocate, cared about the environment and everything. And so my whole career, whether it was helping, homeless animals, homeless people, or empowering women, you realize, that making an impact and having a better environment and supporting the world is probably the key to sustainability if we want to live on this planet, right? So I think, learning, in 2015 about Bitcoin and just getting an understanding of blockchain and the supply chain and understanding what was going on in the world, I believe in the future of this. And I believe that, we need to be transparent with what we're doing. I believe that that traceability is important. I feel like, the most important thing is to understand what we're eating, to understand, what we're drinking, and to basically save the oceans if, we're going to have to bring down carbon emissions, et cetera. So like anything that's going to make this world a better place, I really look at it and say, this is why I'm in it. I'm not going to invest in anything that's not going to make a difference in the world.
Thank you. And to the entrepreneurs and investors that are listening today, I mean, this is very key. Take these things to heart, because this is what's going to fuel your passion to make these areas successful. You look at Union Square Ventures, Jeff Bezos, both just raised multi-$100 million funds to start focusing in these areas. And as Adam mentioned as well, the returns are slightly different, but there's a reason for being in this, as both he and Wendy mentioned as well. And so take note of these stories. And I want to switch gears, Wade, real quick. What are you currently seeing happening in the industry, right? When we look at clean tech and sustainability as a whole, so whether that's around climate, that's around waste, the oceans, anything else in between, food, et cetera, what are you seeing as the current state of these industries from your perspective, having both invested and also working with several companies in the space?
Thank you. That's a pretty loaded question because my involvement in the clean tech space personally started a little over 10 years ago as a chemical engineer, and I was born and raised in a country that's a fossil fuel dependent economy, and a lot of the implications of these heavy oil and gas industries that we see today that are shifting towards more sustainable and renewable technologies, I think is what really is demanded by the customers. And depending on how you define sustainability or clean tech, we actively are dealing with this kind of defining the narrative of sustainability. Just yesterday, we announced the launch of our clean tech program in Tokyo, Japan. And then just to take a step back, and what we do at Plug and Play, as many of you know, is first and foremost making investment in early stage companies. And in 2020, we did well over 100 investments so far. And some of our portfolio companies have raised over $1 billion in total. So really, depending on how you define clean tech or sustainability, it really changes your narrative. But from my experience at Plug and Play, I focus on the energy industry value chain. So any companies that are in upstream, midstream, or downstream of oil and gas, or in the utility space from generation, transmission, distribution, and even the consumption of energy. Now, in the energy space, in and of itself, is a very exciting space. I can talk a little bit about some of the exciting things that we see that are digitizing the workforce in the energy sector, how to optimize the operations using. We have AI experts here, applications of data analytics to better understand how to prevent failure and fatigue in their assets. And then there's a number of interesting things that we see, again, using applications of data at the intersection of transportation and energy. So a lot of energy load management, a lot of charging infrastructure, software tools that are coming to the market that are focused on different aspects of the software in itself. So I think it's a really broad topic. And then from an investor point of view, what we try to do is try to find technologies that have the potentials to scale as quick as we can. And we know that there's a flood of corporations that are putting money behind this new wave of clean tech and committing to their net carbon zero goals. But at the same time, from an investor, we have this kind of bottom line in our investment thesis that we're looking for venture grade returns. And that helps us to cross-pollinate from energy to the different sectors like construction, mobility, and industrial IoT. So I think those are some of the key things that we put our focus on these days.
I'm seeing shaking heads left and right, and we may have a celebrity guest that may join us here in just a moment, as I saw pop on camera. But nonetheless, I see shaking heads across the board with all the other investors on the panel today. And Gary, I want to come to you, and then Luis, I'm coming to you next. Same question. Current state, what are you seeing around this? And we talked a little bit about this topic earlier in the week as it applies to artificial intelligence, but in general, give us your current view of how things are looking from a clean tech and sustainability side in your world.
Well, the situation, so we've got, by the way, Kyle, the way I got interested in this, I just want to bring it up. When I was a kid, we had in Pennsylvania, we had a river that had no fish. And, as a young kid growing up, I said, Dad, this is very strange. Why aren't there fish? And the reason is there was mine acid that had leached into the river because there was a lot of coal mining done in that particular area. So completely killed the fish, all the fish in the river. So literally I went scuba diving there, I was probably 14, there were no fish in the river. So it was a very unusual situation. So I came about it that way. So I understood at a very young age, that you can have, and you couldn't swim in the river earlier because of the mine acid in there. So anyhow, the way I became fully aware of this was back in the 90s. I had the pleasure of meeting Irving Crick, who was one of the first private meteorologists in the world, who opened the Department of Weather at Caltech, and had been a student of Einstein at Princeton. So I got it through him. So I spent 8 months with him working on long-range weather forecasting models. And, of course, weather is nonlinear, right? It occurs in patterns over time. So Dr. Crick just opened my eyes, and when he was telling me about the impact of global warming, and here's an 80-some-year-old genius telling you about what was going to happen when people weren't really talking about it. I mean, my eyes lit up, because I remember when I was a kid, when we had the problems with the mine acid. Now he's telling me what global warming is going to do with these super hurricanes and the Gulf Stream slowing down and the food supply and bee population. I mean, the things he told me then are coming true. So on my side, I mean, the situation is, I'm a country boy, right? It's keep it simple, stupid. If you want to not pollute, why do you make plastics that can't, that it's harm the environment? Or why do you have straws that go in the ocean? And then we've talked about this many times. Why aren't there easier ways to recycle? You got the yellow bin, the green bin, the blue bin. I don't know if it's you, but me, I don't know what bin. There's sometimes I can have 6 bins. I don't know what to put in where. And I didn't realize there's little, serial numbers on plastic sometimes to say this is exactly the kind of plastic, but we got to make it easier for people to dispose, right? And then the other side of this circular, waste, not having it where it's to be disposed, but can you be used and used again? So that's where I came at this thing. And then I did a project on lithium fluoride batteries, chemical batteries that last 6 times longer than lithium ion. And it opened my eyes and said, wow, this is a battery that is not in existence that could, revolutionize things. This was probably 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where I see it is I see that we're hitting it at all cylinders now. I mean, we're finally at a point where people are starting to realize, at least in the West, and I'm not sure, in fact, I'm sure in most of the developing countries, not, right? But as we've said, it's been 30 years since they've seen the Himalayas in India, and they just seen them for the first time because of the pandemic, and people haven't been able to pollute. And so I think, from my perspective, we're finally at a point where we realize that the water's rising, right? Since 1957 in Florida, it's gone up by 8 inches on the beach. By the year 2100, it's forecasted just in Florida that the water could rise as much as 26 inches. And many parts of Florida are only 29 inches. So there's going to be a lot of places like Miami underwater. I think that the awareness has helped. Now the situations we need to use those technologies like artificial intelligence and drones and the recycling and building better composite materials that will be more environmentally friendly. And at the same time, at one side we're talking about environmental friendliness, the other side we're doing fracking. And my house in Pennsylvania, we had oil leach into the well because there was fracking in the back of the house. So the water wells are getting leached into. I mean, look at the other thing, and this is where the technology comes in. But I built a house on about a 3-acre plot, a 8,000 square foot house, and but it was on a farmer's field. Well, guess what? If there's a lot of cows in that field, there's not good things in the field, right? And it leached down into the water supply. But we're finally getting to a point we used to test. If we're going to have a test for a well, when would you test? You would test when someone's going to buy the house, but you rarely ever test it while you're living there. That's when you test it, right? So we need to have sensors to be able to tell us and then to correct, to make the differences, whether it's a UV light or whatever. But those kind of things, we're finally at that stage, and that's what's making me really interested. I do invest in battery technologies. I'm currently looking at some interesting technologies that are going to could dramatically impact the battery life, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the problem with lithium ion? The problem is it's unstable when it gets warm and hot.
Right.
And so we're interested in those kind of technologies.
Right. Yeah. And oh, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I just want to add that I totally I love the story, and that like how we all, as Wendy said too, how we all connected by life events, you know, into these kind of causations and what we do. But you know, I really dug in a lot after my stint at First Solar, like really into storage too. Like storage is a holy grail for renewables and clean tech, because you can extract, you know, energy from sun, wind, and all sorts of places. But it's no way to really store it efficiently. And then when you think about storage and lithium ion, and where do you get lithium these days? And I actually wrote an article about this in Power Magazine a few months ago, so you can look it up, search my name over there. But there are these pristine salt lakes in, gosh, is it Ecuador? See, I should even know my own article. I forgot exactly where, somewhere in Latin America, where flamingos actually roam and live on. And they're like the largest lithium deposits in the world. And everybody now is eyeing them to say, hey, if we are going to, you know, think about storage, we need these mega, you know, battery factories and capacity to kind of, you know, store all this sunshine and store all this wind and do all these things. And where are we going to get it? Oh, we're going to get it from, you know, actually these salt lakes are also all the way from Chile to other places. But in that's actually what I've learned is where flamingos live. And that's where, you know, what they do. That's when they actually, when we see them elsewhere, that's where they actually always go back to, you know, for their mating seasons and all sorts of stuff. And people are already eyeing these things, and they're saying, yes, I'm going to create this beautiful clean tech solution, and I will create these beautiful storage solutions, and I'm going to completely destroy these unbelievable last places on earth that look like, you know, just pure magic. So it is such a complex subject that it's like we can't seem to fix one thing without breaking another thing, you know.
Right.
And that's the one thing that the more you dig in, the more you realize that this is a seriously complicated, you know, subject. And again, I'm thinking about even electric cars and all that.
Right.
So that's just one comment I wanted to make, that the more I kind of dug in, the more I looked into it, the more I was like, my gosh, it's a headache for everybody. Even people who want to do the right thing. It's not simple.
And I appreciate the comment. And Luis, I want to come to you. I see you shaking your head on all these comments. So anything to add, but then also your current view of the area of clean tech and sustainability as you're now building in this and investing previously as well.
Yeah, you know, amazing insights here. And I kind of agree with all. You know, it's hard because I just saw I read an article about the plastic bottles. You know, most of us remember when we had the glass bottles, and when someone came up with the plastic bottles, oh, this was a breakthrough, and it was a solution for, you know, it was easy, it was disposable and whatever. And this article was mentioning that we had, since the beginning, let's say the beginning of the plastic bottle in the 60s until now, we have only 10% of this plastic being recycled. So at that time, it looked like a solution, but we're just, you know, pushing forward the problem, because now we have like 60 years of plastic problem on our hands that we have to deal with. The same about batteries. And I went to a green energy MBA in London, and this was a big dilemma, you know. For you to address the intermittency issue with wind and solar, you have to use storage. And so you clean on with one hand, and you just throw all the way with the other hand by using storage. So it's a big dilemma. It's a big problem. So I understand exactly what Adam was saying, and I really think we have to bring the brightest minds to our area, our market, to solve all these problems and address all these problems, because we now have everyone realize that we gotta be sustainable. We gotta understand, you know, ESG now is mandatory. I was reading a report from an asset manager that not only refuses to invest in companies that are not abiding by ESG principles, but also recommends to divest from those that are not acting. You know, if the company actually stands still, it's enough for them to recommend the divestment. So now it's not more about not doing or just watching. You gotta act, you gotta do it. So it's amazing. It was amazing. A big report saying, oh, we have this company that we invested. We called the board of officers 10 times to talk about the ESG. They didn't answer. So I'm here recommending we divest from this company. This is amazing. This is a big breakthrough. And one other thing that I've seen a lot here, because we are realizing that ESG is important, but how do we interpret ESG? Is E plus S plus G, or E plus E or S or G? There was a case where a ESG fund invested in a company, dealing somehow, I don't remember, the specifics, dealing with the fossil fuels, just because he had an amazing governance, amazing governance mechanisms. So they checked the G, but they forgot about the E and the S. And they were claiming that they were abiding by their mandate. So we got, okay, now we see all this money pouring into ESG and sustainability. But now we got to scratch the surface and understand how we're gonna do it the right way. And on my side, I chose to focus on energy. That is a small piece of ESG, but I know that with my background and my experience, I can generate more impact and more return. So I'm not going for the whole package, but a small piece that I know I can make the difference.
Well, and ESG, just for those who may not be aware, it stands for environmental, social, and corporate governance, or G being governance as well. And I say that because this is a term we're using very commonly here, but for most, it's actually still a very new term, right? A lot of this is done at the government level or at the high level at the corporate sector as well. It's not very commonly spoken about, unfortunately, yet. I feel like that's changing based on the more I learn from each of you as well. And Wendy, I'd like to come to you next around areas of opportunity, right? I mean, current state, but where do we go from here? 2021 is less than 30 days away. We're looking at probably one of the most exciting and impactful decades in front of us. Where do you go if you want to start investing or you want to start building in this area of sustainability as a whole?
Well, we can't forget like the most important thing that has happened, right? We've got Biden now coming in, and he is one of the biggest advocates, to support this initiative and green tech. And one of the things I will say is they have in their agenda a $400 billion to invest in the next 10 years in clean energy. Right? So this is an amazing opportunity for, startups, et cetera. And they're really focused on that. And their team is incredible. And, one of the things I'm very close with a lot of those people. And I really believe that, we've been getting a lot of calls and stuff like that, that this is one of their most important focuses of the next 5 years with this 4 years with this administration. And I think when you think about China, with all the problems we had with Trump, that's now opening up. And, so I will like to say that, we just did a big partnership with one of the biggest family offices in China, where we are, one of my companies are now, they're opening up offices there. The Chinese government gave them a grant of $1 million. A grant. This is not even like an investment. They're just like, here's a grant, set up. We're going to give you office space in this incubation space. And they are fully on board of, bringing traceability, transparency to the agriculture supply chain there, so that they can now do more exports and they can now work better with the US. And so I think that what we're going to see in the next 4 years is going to be incredible, right? Because when you have that kind of money invested in this space, and have one of the greatest democracies in the world, really accelerating all this growth, you're going to see a huge impact for the entire world.
Absolutely. And just for clarity, for those that are listening, what Wendy is talking about with the efforts in China, if I'm correct, is is what many countries offer around the world. And these are schemes in a good way. They are opportunities to help flourish and grow a company as they go global and enter a new local market as well. So definitely, if you are looking.
Yeah, and China itself, I mean, it's like they're all their different regions. They've all come together to enable a lot of these US companies to come in and accelerate the growth very quickly in China. And they're really focused on, clean tech.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also, if you're looking to go, before I come on that, if you're looking to go global, definitely look like, as we've spoken about, Gary and I did a full talk around this recently as well, but if you're looking to go global, you want to make sure you find local partners to work with and local opportunities that you can expand and help grow your company in market. And again, what Wendy was mentioning is one of those, and definitely take advantage. China and Southeast Asia as a whole has many of these opportunities. So does Europe, so does South America, Latin America, Africa. Sometimes the US, we're not so great on that, unfortunately. But we do have other opportunities as well for those looking to expand here, whether that be accelerators like what Wade works with, or venture opportunities and individuals like us as well. But thank you, Wendy. And one other comment, what Wendy was mentioning around clean tech and the initiative that China has, that's also a part of China's 13th or 14th up and coming 5-year plan. So every 5 years, the country of China puts together a 5-year policy of different technologies and then goals that they would like to achieve as a country. And a lot of that sparks on new innovations being implied. And in the blockchain sense, they actually just put out about 145-page blueprint or blue paper, depending on the term you want to use, a blueprint of how they want to become a fully sustainable and local global hub for everything blockchain by 2022. And in part of that, names some of these regions, I believe 11, with 12 different use cases, including agriculture, sustainability, clean tech, and how blockchain, AI, Gary, and some of the other areas that everyone focuses on here will apply. So enough education on that. I'll pause.
Can I say one more thing? And also there's a lot of like Chinese technologies also. Like, so one of the companies I invested in, they have a Chinese patent to enable retrofit every diesel engine to be 50 to 70% less carbon emissions. And now that is now being brought out here in the United States. And so like, when you think about, now that the Trump administration is now leaving and bringing on Biden, a lot of these opportunities are going to just, be incredible for the future.
And it's, again, to the audience, these are opportunities globally. I want to make that very clear. We're speaking about one very particular country, and then again, a region being Southeast Asia. What you've heard a lot here also on VCTV is there's a ton of this happening both in and out of Latin America, South America. Look at Australia. Europe's entire landscape has dramatically shifted in the past 5 years to open these types of opportunities because of the progression we're starting to see around innovation as a whole. So I just want to add that on. I'm totally on board with exactly what Wendy said. I've got tons to share more on that in a positive light, but I want to make sure our audience understands these are opportunities everywhere. So when you're looking to build, or investors, you're looking to invest, look to exactly what Wendy just mentioned, those opportunities to take advantage of to help grow and build success into your company. Wade, I want to come to you. You're working with startups all over the place. You're working in this industry. You came building a company into an accelerator that turned into something more. Where do you see the areas of opportunity within this industry? And again, I'm bulking everything under sustainability for this question, that people should be paying attention to, whether they're looking to invest or they're looking to build.
Absolutely. And maybe just to reiterate what you and some of our colleagues mentioned here, I also believe there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur and to help foster innovation in the clean energy and economy space. And, really, it's not just the Silicon Valley or on the East Coast anymore. It's everywhere in the world, and all the locations you mentioned. We have groupings of large corporations that are sectored off and are looking to work with startups to decarbonize their sector, and that's across their entire value chain. It's not just the energy storage or the transportation space. Is in hydrogen, it's in carbon capture, utilization, and storage, and it's everywhere that touches the climate challenges that we have. But one of the areas that I would just mention again to the earlier point that I think is going to be incredibly exciting because we see a number of both public and private investors that are making pledges to put more capital in this space is in the electrification of transportation space. I think that's an area that, you know, we'll see a number of startups come to the play, a new wave of clean technologies in that space because of, you know, because entrepreneurs are very intelligent. They know where the market indications are and they pivot their ideas based on where those opportunities are. And just during the past 6-7 months during COVID, we've seen a great number of startups who pivoted their idea and gained significant traction. Signed contracts with governments and signed commercial agreements with large corporates. And I think this is just going to continue in the following years. Maybe in the first year or two, we see some companies that are still developing the technology and may not be the best investment opportunities. But as you know, we see the advancement of technology in the next 3 to 5 years. I would say great investable opportunities, great companies to work for, and I think this is going to be a second wave of clean technology. And I particularly am excited a little bit more on the transportation space, a little bit specifically, and obviously anything adjacent to that, all the other adjacent sectors to transportation.
It's a very great point, and thank you as well. And to that, and also Wendy's previous point, I mean, look at the city of Shenzhen. The city of Shenzhen had a directive for 2 years to switch all public transportation, specifically around buses, over into electric, and they did it in less than a year. Almost 17,000 public city buses went from gas powered to electric in just around a year versus the 2 years they had planned for. So yeah, it's amazing. It's wild, the speed of innovation that's happening. And again, when someone sets their mind to something, how quickly it can really be obtained, to everyone's point. Gary, coming to you, areas of opportunity, where are you seeing? What are you thinking about?
I mean, the situation is, I love artificial intelligence. So any kind of the applications of that, I mean, sensors, drones to be able to monitor what's out there. I'm interested in those. Battery technologies, innovative battery storage systems. I mean, the batteries are getting better every year, 20 to 30% in some cases. So, look at the boom in the electric vehicles, right? It's predicted by 2040 that 57% of all vehicles will be electric. I mean, but we got to move fast, Kyle. We got a lot of people coming on this planet. I mean, we got 8 billion people now, forecasted by 2100, 13 billion. We've got less potable water. We've got a lot of things that got to correct. We've got raising sea levels today. I mean, it could be up, 2 meters, right, in the oceans because of the glaciers. I mean, you're talking about substantial impacts, not just because of the water, but because of all the climate changes that are going to go along with it. I remember Dr. Crick was telling me that we're going to have super hurricanes, like 200, 250 mile an hour hurricanes once the global warming picks up. So I would say that that's probably going to happen. Anyhow, so I'm interested in anywhere there's data to be collected, analyzed, and make some predictions about it. I'm interested in weather forecasting models. I'm interested in battery technologies. I'm interested in quantum computing's impact on this, as you know, this entire environment. So I'm writing a lot about quantum computing. And it's not about talking about it anymore. It's about action needs to be to move things forward. So, I'm for that. And anyhow, we got to, simple things. It's like plastic, right? Why in the world is it so each one of the plastics need to be disposed of in a different way? Why don't we make it easier to be able to do it or go back to glass? I mean, as I was a kid, there was no plastic. We had glass and it's simple. Just recycle the glass. Forget about it.
Yeah.
It's like,
we even throw it away. It's glass. It's fine.
It's glass. And the thing is, it's like pretty stupid, It's like we complain about it, but we don't want to do anything. We complain. Okay, well then forget it. Get rid of plastic, outlaw plastic, just use glass. Give people 10 cents if they take their glass bottle. You'll have people stealing glass bottles at that. They'll want to recycle them like crazy. That's what they did. When I was a kid, you would get a couple of cents or a nickel for a glass bottle. What did we do as a kid? 8 years old, we collect glass bottles and go down to the local store and turn them in and buy candy. You know what I mean? We'd go down, turn them, and that was it. It was pretty simple. There weren't a lot of glass bottles hanging around because we would always pick them up.
Right. And there's a great Seinfeld episode for those that are fans out there about that with plastic. Have fun. You're welcome for your weekend entertainment. Wade, real quick, I know speaking of, making action or turning words into action, you've got some huge things working on at Plug and Play here today that you need to leave a little early for. Quick shout out, where can everyone find you and the Plug and Play program to continue the conversation?
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to be here with some experts on the panel. It's the easiest way to get in touch. It's through email. My email is wade@pnptc.com. I would love to look at the inbound if you're working on a startup, if you're a corporate, or if you're an investor. Please get in touch and we'll find a way to work together. So we also have media outlets like Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and every other social media. But I think the quickest way to get in touch would be my email.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Wade. Enjoying success today at the Plug and Play events that you guys have going on. And Adam, I want to come to you next. Closing thoughts, including those areas of opportunity. And then, of course, where can everyone find you online? I feel like there's probably a lot to be had. So I'll give you a few extra minutes here, along with Wendy and Luis.
I'll go super quick. So first, I agree. Don't buy plastic. You want your peanut butter, you want whatever, look for the glass containers. Just do it. It's easy. They exist. Three things that I think about if you really want to go deep and do something very hard, it's material science, it's understanding storage and efficiencies, specifically around photovoltaics. You can't just say, oh, solar, it's wonderful. They need to be more efficient. They need to be more on the power parity with petrochemicals. Really hard to do long term. That's one. The second thing is you have a company. Most of us don't really work in clean tech. But we're all in clean tech. We all live on this organic planet. So you don't have to be a clean tech company to do clean tech things and projects and allocate some of your time to doing things that actually do good in the world. There are clearly commercial things and you can make money from them. So you have to rethink and repurpose sometimes the things that you do towards clean tech because everybody can. And the last thing, if you are around children, if you have your own children, how do you raise them? Not about recycling or whatever. What kind of career choices are they going to have? And when you have kids, you see it. They don't think like us anymore. They're born into this kind of new world of clean tech and the way they see the world. So impacting them is really one of the best things that you could do in order to actually really make the shift into something a lot better. And it's probably going to happen. I feel good about it. These are my closing thoughts. Adam@edgeimpulse.com. Adam@edgeimpulse.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adam. And just a quick note to our audience and to our panel, as we've been talking about this subject, I just got an email newsletter from Axios about our topic today. And one thing that was mentioned is that 15 states, including Washington, D.C., this summer plan to announce a requirement for all new trucks, vans, and buses in their state to be electric by 2050. Wow. Now it's far off, so maybe we'll see it a little earlier, but still interesting to see that come out. And another fun fact, Amazon has a directive to deploy 100,000 electric delivery trucks by 2030. So not to be outdone. There you go. So entrepreneurs, there's your targets, 2030 and 2050. Beat that. All right. Be encouraged. Thank you, Adam. Luis, to you, closing thoughts. Where can you be found online to continue the conversation?
Yeah, my closing thoughts, and I don't want to be a buzzkiller here, but I love all this shift we're doing towards electric vehicles. But my concern is that the clean generation tech, it's not moving at the same pace. So the problem here is everyone is trying to shift from gas-fired cars engines to electric, but here in the US we still have our energy matrix is 93% dirty. So my concern here is because as we grow in a very fast pace towards electric vehicles, we gotta catch up on the clean generation side. We got to invest there, and we got to be, we got to be very careful on that, because otherwise the easy and the fast way to grow generation is through thermal. And thermal and coal-fired thermal plants, and they're highly dirty. It's a big problem for us. So we gotta see the big picture. I think probably everyone already saw the cartoon of a Tesla, a nice Tesla. Everyone just bragging the Tesla, and it's just connected all the way through a coal fire power plant. So we got to see the big picture. And I don't want to be a buzz killer. I love the movement, but we got to see the big picture. Because I'm a generation guy. I see the things on the generation side, and I see the need to grow, to invest more there. So I'm Luis Freitas. You can find me on LinkedIn. Luis Freitas Advisory is my current company, and just launching a Kea Partners, our energy tech fund, soon. And amazing being here again.
Congratulations, Luis. Gary, where can everyone find you online, by the way?
Yeah, Gary Fowler, LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. You can email me, Gary at GSDVS. I've got a couple of shows every week, GSD Presents and Gary's Picks. So I'd be love to have the startups reach out, or investors. Love to talk to them. Thanks, Kyle.
Wonderful. Wendy, close us out. Your closing thoughts, and where can you be found?
Closing thoughts are, there's no better time for collaboration. You've got Walmart, you've got Unilever, you've got everyone now 100% about sustainability. You've got governments, you've got, especially now with the new Biden administration, you've got the United Nations, you've got everything. Everyone's looking to collaborate. Everyone is open to new ideas. And there are so many different venture companies within these organizations also that are investing in clean tech. So I just want to put that out there. I'm interested in anything that's, in this space. High integrity teams definitely can really advance blockchain companies very quickly. And you can find me at wendydiamond.com, and you can email me there or see all my social media, etc.
Very, very cool. Thank you all. down in this corner right here, Wendy Diamond. That's all right. It's my job as the host, point you in the right direction. So there you go. Everyone, thank you so much, Luis, Adam, Gary, Wendy. It was such a pleasure, and Wade, again, who had to leave us early. But it was such a pleasure to hear your thoughts and insights around sustainability and where things are going from here. To our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Thank you, Gary. Do reach out to each and every one of our investors if you're building and or investing. Thank you, Adam, in this space. They would all love to talk to you, myself included, Wendy, Luis, and make sure you add context when you do. What do you want to talk to them about? Where did you hear them? What piqued your interest to reach out to them? These are key facts to know as we are now living our lives more digitally than ever, and we love to hear from you. With that also being said, if you'd like to be on a show like today's here on VCTV, reach out to us either as an investor or as an entrepreneur, and we'd love to find the right spot for you. And a big thank you to the LA Token team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day, all day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere online at Kyle Ellicott, down in that corner. And all of our investors, again, online 24/7, 365. With that, we'll be back next week with more VCTV. Everyone have a great day, great weekend. See you all soon.
Bye.